Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today's something a little different. I thought I would talk about my personal strategies for game collecting. I'm kind of in the throes of trying to finish up my collection of older games, for the Sega Genesis and Super NES and PS1 and on up. But there's always new games that come across that I'm adding to my list, and of course, there's considerations, logistics of the space that I physically have to store games and keep games, or to even look at them comfortably without, lining the walls with wall-to-wall games, and that's not my goal. But sadly, I had kind of gotten rid of a lot of my games over the years. I'd had so many systems, the C64, and I loved that system. I'd spend hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on games. And I'd amass these, I got close to 100 games for the Commodore 64. The minute I got the Super NES, it's like I gave that system away with all the games. I just want the new thing. And then I had about a 30-inch stack of loose cartridges for the Super NES. Back then, I'd buy the boxes, just throw the box away, sometimes even the manual. All I wanted was a cartridge because I didn't want to waste that much room. Of course, I regret it now, looking back on it. And I had all these Super NES games, and I got the PS1. It's like, the hell with this. Get rid of it, gave it away to a family member. I think it was my nephew at the time. Of course, he loved the games, and it was like his first entry-level system, so he was thrilled with it. And I had my PS1, that's all that mattered. The same, I got the PS2 with, Twisted Metal Black. The hell with this PS1, all the games, get rid of them. And I had friends that would come over, Dean, what happened to that Duke Nukem Time to Kill? Let's play split screen. Oh, dude, I got rid of that PS1. Oh, not Nukem, dude, no. I said, dude, I'm into the what's new. The hell with these old games. I want the latest and greatest and all this stuff. So it wasn't until about 2011 or 12 that I finally realized the errors of my ways. I even gave the last 20-odd games that I had lovingly saved that I wouldn't get rid of, and donated those to Classic Game Room. And Mark Bussler, as well as CGR Undertow, went through and reviewed all those games, which was great. And it's kind of immortalized. As well, it'd be better for Classic Game Room to have them, and then that way they can live on forever as people can enjoy and maybe learn something about the games that they didn't know. And I'm glad that I did. But looking back, it's like, God, what did I do? I got rid of all those great games. And what's funny is about the time I discovered Classic Game Room back in 2008 or 9, I pretty much was getting out of the original Xbox and PS2 and getting right into the 2009 period is when I bought my first Xbox 360 Elite. And so I got rid of the same thing. They gave me like, $20 for each for the PS2, another $20 for my original Xbox. And I had all those games I traded in, and I was just happy to get some new Xbox 360 games to play and some used ones as well. But once I discovered YouTube around 2009 or so, I started seeing a lot of reviews and even retro reviews of older games that I either had played back in the day or games that I didn't even know about that existed back then. It's like, my God, I miss these games. I kind of wish I had kept all these. I didn't realize how cool it is to go back and kind of play these old experiences. So I didn't know any game collectors. The internet has brought us all together. So now, today, because of the internet and YouTube, I see how many game collectors there are. I thought I was, one of the only ones. I didn't know other people like collecting old games, but now I can see that there's a lot of people that are interested in it that love gaming as well, just even modern gaming. And it's great to see the full gambit of it. But back in the day, it's like you felt like you could easily own every C64 game. I'd go to the same software places week after week, and once in a while, hey, look, something new, and I'd pick it up and, oh, wow, what's this, and God, this is a Destruction Derby. Oh, I like cars, and I'll give it a chance. Cars would be $50 back then in the 80s. It'd be like paying $150 today for a game. Take a chance on it, and usually, 1 out of 3 of those games wouldn't be that great. I'd be kind of stuck with it, but because I didn't have a lot of games, and there wasn't a lot of games to go after back then, you would kind of force yourself to sit and play through the game anyway, even if you hated it, to get your money's worth, because there was no eBay, no Amazon. You were stuck with it. Unless you gave it to a friend that might want it. I mean, you really get fucked. So you kind of were forced. It's a different time and era to where you appreciated what you had, and you were just happy to have those games, even if they were bad experiences. And you would kind of just trudge through them and make the best of it. And I did. I had a lot of fun with them. Sometimes games like Alien Resurrection for the PS1. Initially, I hated it, but it's like, I'm stuck with it now, so I might as well force myself to play it. But once I get into it, man, I really enjoyed it. And it became one of my favorite games at that time with the PS1. So today we live in an age where you can have everything. And on the internet has made it so possible that you can see everything there is. You can go on Wikipedia and see, oh God, I didn't know there were other games. When I first played Duke Nukem, Time to Kill, which I've got, down here somewhere, I didn't know about Duke Nukem 3D. I didn't play, computer PC games back then. I didn't know that there was a Duke Nukem at all. I go, what's this Duke Nukem? It was kind of cool, like an 80s action hero thing, and Time to Kill. Goes back and forwards in time. That sounds good. It became one of my favorite games for the PlayStation back at that time. I didn't know. I didn't know that it was part of a series of games that had already been out. I just didn't know because there was no internet. There was nothing to tell you one way or the other. Later I discovered Total Meltdown, and that was my entry to Duke Nukem 3D. Now again, it's all relative to where you grow up, and this is maybe another rant altogether. Some people grew up with a PC and they're more PC game related, and that's fine. There's a lot of those games and experiences I certainly missed out on because PCs were, $5,000 and up back in the 80s when I wanted to buy one. That would be like spending $15K today. Can you imagine spending $15,000 for a basic gaming rig? I mean, that sounds insane, but that's kind of how it was back in the mid to late 80s. They were very expensive and way out of touch. So consoles for me were the thing, but that's another rant. So I'm going to focus on game collecting. Now, these are the strategies that have worked for me. And I've just discovered the last few years, since 2012 and on up, I've been kind of getting back into, I've officially started recollecting my past experiences in games and gaming memories that I loved and lived for around 2012, from then up. So I'm slowly getting back many of the games that I had. I still have a ways to go. I mean, I still have a lot of games that I don't have back in my collection. Some of them I just forgot the names. But via the internet, we can go on. You can see a complete list of every Super NES game, every Sega Genesis game, every PS1 game, and on up, which is wonderful. So I'm going to outline a few things. Number one is knowing what you want. Knowing what it is you really want for your collection. I didn't really know. I started looking at a lot of older game videos back in 2009, 10, and 11, but it really wasn't until I remember we were moving it into a rental right before we bought this house in 2012. And I told my wife, I said, you know what? I kind of made a mistake donating all those games to family, and especially Classic Gamer. I kind of want those games back. What? We're going to buy those games again? You sure you're going to play them? I said, I really want to play them. I want to get back, not all of them, but just the ones that meant the most to me. And then maybe a few that kind of slipped through the cracks that I didn't even know about. I can't believe that I never played, like Dino Crisis back in the day. I did play Resident Evil, but I didn't know about those other games. I had played some of the Tomb Raiders, but I didn't know how many additional Tomb Raiders they made because our stores that we had back then didn't have them. So past the first 2 Tomb Raiders, I didn't know any other ones existed. But because of the internet, we're spoiled for a rich array of gaming, and we can have anything. And when I look at how massive my friends' gaming collections are today, I'm shocked. Just to own every original Xbox game in North America is huge. I mean, I don't know how many games there are, but probably close to a couple thousand games, I would imagine. I mean, a lot more than I have money or space for today. But it's fascinating because of the information age we live in. You can, with a touch of your fingers, you can see what's out there. So first off, in 2012, I identified what I wanted. I said, you know what? I don't want every system. In fact, I don't even want another C64, but I do want a Super NES. I had never had a Genesis, so I wanted to get a Genesis, and I have now I have 2 of them, thanks to some friends of mine. And I'm starting off with a small, modest Genesis collection. I have a couple Super NES games as well. Not many, but just a handful, just like 3 of them. And I'm happy to have those for right now. So I'm building a list. So the first thing was to identify what I want. I said, I want the PS1 again. I miss my PS1. Of course, I like the fact that I can play them on the PS3 and especially on the PS2. Via component cables, I played most of my PS1 games, not even on the PS3, but on the PS2, and I really enjoy it. I knew I wanted another PlayStation 2, and I got one. My wife got me one a couple Christmases ago, a really clean, fat one, and I found a nice little slim model for $40 that had barely been used. It's like brand new. I'd like to get maybe one more silver slim if I could find one. And again, I have two PS1s. One of them I know works, the other one I'm not so sure, but I may try to find a better one just to have another clean one, maybe even one of the little mini small ones, the slim models. You know, I have one PS3, I would like another one, but so I know what I want. I clearly know what I want, and I've actually made a list. I have a list, and here's, you know, Xbox 360 games. These are every Xbox 360 game I want. The one with the asterisks, the little stars by them, are the ones I'm going to be going after first. Those are the ones I'm hot and heavy to get, or maybe getting on eBay. Original Xbox games, I have two lists, quite a few. Now, I may not buy all of these. I have an asterisk by quite a few of them. Those are the ones I'm committed to getting. The other ones I'm kind of still researching. PlayStation 1 games, I've got a pretty good list of those. PS3 games, not too many. Very few, actually. I do have some PS2 games, not a lot, but now I had a pretty good, and in fact I had since 2012 had amassed a pretty good sized PS2 collection, and then I cut it down to about a third the size of what I had, because I really realized that, well, many of those are a little bit better on the original Xbox, so I'd rather have, you know, the Xbox versions of those games versus the PS2, just because the graphics and the lighting effects are a little bit better on the original Xbox. Not in every game, but most of them. You know, games like Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit 2, actually amazingly looked and played better on the PlayStation 2 versus the GameCube or the Xbox. The same thing with the single-player game of Wolfenstein Return to Castle on the PlayStation 2. It's actually a better port than the Xbox one, believe it or not. But with few exceptions, I have a small list of Super NES games. I got a lot more Sega Genesis games I want. I never had a Sega Genesis, and I even have a list of strategy guides that I like. So that's the first step, is identifying what you want, and I have a master list, a nice clean list. It's small. I can take this in with me, you know, to a little gaming store and shuffle through the pages and just check with, oh, they have Jungle Strike and, you know, Desert Strike. Oh, good, I'll grab those, and I can kind of compare it to my list, because what happens the minute I get to the gaming store, I forget 80% of what I'm going after. My mind just draws a blank, and it's like visual overwhelm. So that's the first thing, is know what you want. I've mentioned this many times, I'm only going after games that I really love, that I played back in the day and loved them. And then I also want to collect games that I kind of knew about back in the day but just never got around to, that I am highly curious about. In games I can see myself enjoying and playing. That's it. Now, I did go after a complete Star Wars collection of all 12 Star Wars games for the original Xbox, and I have 3 of the exclusive PlayStation 2 Star Wars games that were pretty much only on the PlayStation 2, and some of them weren't on the Xbox, like a Racer Revenge and Star Wars Bounty Hunter. So I have like all the Star Wars. Those are what I'm into. I have all 5 of the James Bond games for the original Xbox as well. So I like collecting complete series within a particular, you know, genre or particular deal, but I will never go after, I'm going to go after a complete Wii collection, or I want every PlayStation 1 game. I could never afford it. Or every PS2 game, or a Sega Genesis game, you know, or even an N64. Some of those collections are doable, but there's not enough games in there that I would want one. Now, I would like a GameCube, but really just for the Rogue Squadron games. And if I come across one fairly inexpensively that's in good shape, I'll buy it, and a few Rogue Squadron games, and maybe a few other GameCube games as well. But I'm not hell-bent to get one. The Panasonic 3DO is something else that I will get, but first, and the prices of it are going up with the games. But it's a secondary concern. My goal first is to get all the other games for the systems that I do have. And once I'm done with that, and I got nothing else to collect for, then I'll consider the GameCube and the 3DO. So have a hierarchy or a criteria of what you want and what you're committed to having, what you'd kind of like to have, and then have a list of like what you're considering and researching based on recommendations and what have you. Second thing is make a master list, you know, and that's like I've done. Just write them all down, and then put an asterisk by the ones that you're committed to getting. Then the rest of them, take the time to research it. that's another thing that's very important is researching games. I mean, a lot of my friends will go out and they'll see my recommendations. Oh, good, I'll just get all the ones that Dean recommends. Well, I mean, that's flattering, but don't just jump on them because I like them. The reasons why I like Manhunt may be very different from the reasons why you like it. You may be more into the mechanics of it. You may not like the over-the-top gore that I particularly like on Soldier of Fortune 2 or Manhunt 1 and 2. So I have my own kind of reasons why I like those games. But if you watch my Hidden Gems videos or what I recommend are my top 30 Xbox games, and if you can identify with my taste and you can kind of see my reasoning and rationale for why I like them, and it makes sense to you, then certainly add those to your list. But don't just take my word for it. Kind of do research. And this is where I don't see enough collectors researching games. They'll quickly buy games. Oh, I went to the flea market. It was only $1, so I got this. I got this, I got this, I got this, and they're just buying games. Now, some of them, in theory, say, well, I got them cheap, and this way I have bargaining power, and I can, in theory, trade them for something that I do like within a particular group. And that would be another thing to recommend is networking. Networking is an excellent way to see what's out there and to even buy and sell and trade with your buds. And it's paid off. I mean, that's how I actually got this. My buddy Chance in my Xbox group, we've become very good friends. He's got me some of my favorite games that I could not find locally. And he sent me this, which I'm very thankful for. My buddy Jeremy knew that this was a holy grail for me and said, Dean, I know you've been looking for one of these, Grand Theft Auto trilogies. I have one now. It's not perfect. It's got a little, tattered corners, and the box has a little wear, but it's complete. The discs are very minty. It has all the booklets and posters. If you're interested, let me know. I said, oh, dude, I'd love to have that. He hooked me up with this game for like half of what it would cost on eBay. I'm so appreciative. Thank you, Jeremy, so much for this. And Chance, thank you for so many great games that I could not find locally. So, and that's part of my criteria too, is that I've mentioned this in a few of my Xbox groups, is that I'll look for up to 2 years locally. And I have 2 stores, or 2 chain stores. One of them is called Dimples. It's a local chain. It used to be Tower Records here in California. They're all up and down Southern and Northern California. I don't think they're down anymore, but they originated out of the Sacramento area. They kept the local ones and they changed the name to Dimple Records. And they have like used books and records and cassettes and tapes and VHS and DVDs. And they have a hell of a lot of games and really good deals on games. I think they have 6 locations. I had 7. I think they've downsized to 6 now. So if one store doesn't have it on the computer system, it says one of our downtown Sacramento stores has that game. Do you want us to ship it over here? Or would you like me to call them and have them hold it, and you can go over and pick it up? And I'll wait. Have them ship it over here. That'd be great. I'll wait 3-4 days. They'll ship it over, and I'll go pick it up. If I have to have it right then and there, they'll hold it for me. It's a beautiful thing. If none of the stores have it, they'll even put it on a locator, and if the game does come in now, a month later, a year from now, they call me up. Any of the stores get it. I get first dibs at it. I love that. Thanks to my good buddy Steve Baker in one of my Xbox clubs, he told me about this wonderful store called Fair Game over in Carmichael, and it's a great store. It's a few miles, maybe 5-6 miles from my home. But it's a wonderful place with even more retro games. They have more things than even the Dimple stores have. They've got probably 80% of what I have on my list here. They have most of it. If I had a couple $1,000s, I could go there right now and be done. Just like boom, and have most 85% of my games. But I don't have the money for it right now. I'm going to have to wait. So, but it's nice. I've just discovered it. And it's just funny, right when I discovered it is when I was running out of money. I was on a pretty good spending binge throughout the year, and you saw my massive pickups collection. You see the last 6 months I've gone nuts and got a lot of games, especially for my original Xbox collection, which is like doubled just in the last year. So I'm real happy about that. Networking is crucial. Quite often people will sell you things, or maybe you're looking for a manual, you got the game but it's missing the manual. Now, some of these games I got at a yard sale. One of my neighbors 2 doors down, I didn't even know was a fellow gamer about my age. He died of a massive heart attack. And I met his wife shortly after. I saw the ambulance and all the stuff going on, the commotion at the house, and I asked her, was everything okay? Because my husband just passed away. I felt terrible. She was going to be having a yard sale in a couple of weeks. I got a lot of stuff of his I want to get rid of. If you're interested, kind of let me know. I go, what did he have? Oh, he loved movies, DVDs, and he had a big game collection. I go, I'd love to see that before you put those items out. So she let me go through his house, and I got a ton. I did a whole video on it. I got a ton of PS1, PS2 games. He had other systems, Nintendo systems, which at the time I didn't have. It's a shame because there were a lot of Super NES games I could have had, but I passed on them. But I did go after the PS1 and 2 games. I didn't even have an original Xbox back then, so I think he had Xbox games I wish I had taken at the time. But I was just like he had so many games, and so some of them were missing the manuals. In the case, they had Shockwave Assault, which is one of the first games I had from my original PlayStation 1. Unfortunately, it's missing the tall box and the manual. Dino Crisis, I never played, but the guy thought enough to at least put them in jeweled cases. They're scratch-free, they're in great shape. Mech Warrior 2, which I've never played. Alien Trilogy, one of my favorite games. Now this I'd like to rebuy with the box and the manual. And even Final Doom. So these are like the only games that I have that are missing manuals, but now I don't mind loose cartridges. And you got to decide too what it is you're willing to accept or not accept. Now I got lots of friends, they don't care if their manuals are missing. Some of them don't even care about scratches. They just buy huge lots of games. Here's a guy selling, 70 original Xbox games. Oh, I'll buy the whole lot. Sometimes it's with the console and extra controllers or what have you, and cords and stuff. And then they go through it, and they might find maybe 10 of those games are in really good condition or they're complete. That maybe only a handful of ones that they want, but then they use the rest of them because they did get them cheap, that they can trade and sell or whatever. And that makes sense. I'm not big on doing that myself because I like to buy, like I did it because it was a neighbor, and I wanted, these were games that I wanted. Some of them I did have at the time. And I said, well, I'll take these. I can always look for them. Final Doom is getting expensive. I saw this for like $50 in the case at my fair game store. I go, God, I didn't realize this is probably an expensive game. I might just be happy to have this. So, I'm happy to have those, but most of them did have the cases, and I'm glad I had them. A lot of rare PS2 games in particular that I had never seen, so I was very happy to have those. He even had a couple tall boxes. I got these for $1 each, $1. Agile Warrior in the original box, the original manual. With I think it even has the foam. Yeah, with the foam. It had a giant sticker on the front. I took the sticker off via my trick, and I'll have a link below for my Bestine. This is the only safe way to remove stickers on printed paper material where you won't damage the background material. Or the same thing with cases. You can remove stickers off cases without hazing the plastic like you would with rubbing alcohol or especially paint thinners and stuff like that, which will dull the plastic and ruin it. So it's a safe way, and I have a wonderful link for that. Many people don't know about this. This is for the graphic arts industry. I've heard they might be discontinuing this product, but you can still get it under other name brands. Rubber cement thinner, the best kept secret for retro game collecting, keeping your games clean and neat. So I took that sticker off. I could probably get pretty good money for this game today, but it happens it's one of my favorite PS1 games. This is one I spent $20 for on eBay because I wanted to find a Twisted Metal. This is the game that sold me on the PlayStation 1. I said, I gotta have this in the original tall box. So I spent $20 for this. This game is probably worth it even more now. So I've seen just the last 3 years of prices are going up on some of these PlayStation 2 and PS1 games. I'm really surprised. But anyway, so that's, networking is very valuable. I have gotten so many games that I can't find. Like I said, my deal is I'll look for up to 2 years locally because I like to support my local stores. So if I support them, then they'll stay in business longer and be there for my DVD needs and my used gaming needs down the road. If I bought everything on eBay, then I'm not contributing locally to these stores, then maybe their bottom line isn't so good and then they close their doors. I know what I contribute is only a small percentage of what they're getting profit-wise, but it still feels good to do business locally with the companies. Because eBay is expensive, and eBay is great if you want to find something in good shape, but you're going to pay top bucks. I found a sealed copy of Return Fire in a tall box for over $350 on eBay. That's insane. So I still have my original tall box Return Fire, but it's missing the manual, and I cut my manual cover down and made a little slip cover for a jewel case, and that's how I have the game today. I donated to Classic Game Room once I saw it was worth a fortune. I asked Mark, I said, of all the games I donated, could I have one back? And he said, sure, name it. I said, my return file. He goes, no problem. He sent it right back to me. I go, thank you so much, because I don't want to spend no $350 for this game. I had no idea the games are going up so expensive. So now I'm kind of motivated to wrap my collection up like I can. That's kind of why I wanted to do this video. So yeah, networking is good, making a list, doing the research like I've mentioned. What I do first thing in the morning when I get up at 5:30 in the morning, 5:30, is I put my PC on and I check out my Twitter and Facebook, but as soon as possible I get right on my YouTube app, and I like to see all my subscribers that I subscribe to, like maybe 140 or so, and I see what they have that's new videos. And I like to support their channels, but I also love to see inside dope. Oh, here's a game, I played this over the weekend, and there's some game that I'd always wanted to know about. Hey, look, there's some footage of it. Oh, cool, let's see, you know. Or maybe it's a game I've already played, like Freedom Fighters, but I'll watch their video and get all excited. I got to get that game back in my collection, and then I'll go on an active hunt for that game. So as a visual person, I really get inspired with YouTube. I love to research. Typically, I'll always type in the name of the game, like let's say Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30. I'll type in that name, and then I'll put the word review in. I always go for the reviews first. I'll see some original GameSpot, IGN reviews back for the original Xbox, watch those. And then there might be other ones. Maybe there's some retro channels that just 9 months ago, hey, or we're going to review, here's a game from the past, Road to Hill 30, the Brothers in Arms series, And it's kind of neat to see retro reviews or even older ones and kind of see what's out there. So that's a big thing for me, is research. I put a lot of research in, and I love the process. A lot of people, they'll just buy the games. Like I said, they'll just buy them at yard sales. Oh, I bought this game. I got Twisted Metal too. Siphon Filter, Asteroids. And they're like, that's their big pickups video. It's boring. They're just buying games to buy games. You don't know what their plans are of the games. You don't know how they feel about the games. And to me, I try to take the time to share why I love these games. What is it about the games I like, or even the games that I haven't played yet, why I think they would be right up my alley, and why I like the games like Gex. And God, I had so much fun with this back in the day. I love this game. And it's nice to know that if I get a 3DO, I could buy it for the 3DO, or other systems as well. Duke Nukem Time to Kill. My buddy Chance, now I rarely back up games, but he had some PS1 games he's getting rid of, and he gave me an extra copy of his Duke Nukem Time to Kill and Twisted Metal 1, 2, and 3. It's nice to have a few extra backups. It's just some of my favorite games. So I will invest in a few backups, but not many. Now, I had a huge PS2 collection. I've whittled it down to about a third of that now since 2012, because I did eventually find not one but 3 original Xboxes, and I've got one right behind me here, and then I've got another one that I sent to my buddy Clint that's being modded right now and completely overhauled, and then I have another one that's out in my living room presently, and I'm going through and playing. I got a stack of like 10 original Xbox games. I'm trying a little bit of each game. Games I've been dying to see how they play out and how they look. It's so cool, especially via component cables. So anyway, that's it. Research is huge. I go on Wikipedia and check out a series that I knew nothing about, and it's just fascinating. It's like, God, there's a whole series I knew nothing about, and what happens is, via that, I'll find so many great channels. I go, here's a great review. I go, oh, this guy, not only is it a great review of a game that I knew little about, but this guy's a pretty damn good reviewer. Let me see what else he does. So I click on his channel, and there's another world within a world of all the reviews he's done. And that's how I've come across so many wonderful channels. So it's so fun. To me, it's very addictive. To me, some people are into the hunt. They're just into going to yard sales and thrift stores and retro game conventions and searching, and that is fun. And I haven't been to any conventions yet. That's the only thing I haven't really tried out yet. But I've tried some yard sales. I haven't had real good luck with yard sales. And the thrift stores, some of them are kind of hip to what the prices are getting on eBay. They're getting more for it, and there's so many people hitting these thrift stores up almost daily, to where, you're going to get leftovers. So you got to consider that. Local sources and stores, I mentioned that. Thrift stores, yard sales. We have a couple giant swap meets here in town in Sacramento. There's one over in Roseville that I've heard quite a bit about, where people bring all their used DVDs and game systems. A lot of these people are kind of hip to what the shit's worth, and they want top dollar for it, sadly, from what I'm hearing from my friends. But occasionally you'll come across some great games. So identifying all the stores in your area, and then I try to visit them at least every other week. I have 2 stores I go to, and I'll go to at least once a month or every other week. When I'm really rolling in dough, I'll go sometimes even twice a week and check and look, and sure as shit, there's new games coming in, sometimes daily. I was at one of my game stores the other day. They must have had 40 games that just came in. Someone brought it. I go, well, wow, did someone bring a whole collection? He goes, yeah, this guy he's done collecting for the Xbox. He doesn't want to do it anymore. And he brought in all these Xbox games. There are a couple of them there that they hadn't gone through and tested yet or cleaned up. But it's like, wow, I'll be looking for those on the shelves. I never went back to check them out, though. So after 2 years, then what I do is if I don't find it locally, and if I have my little asterisk by it, and it's something that I want, then I'll go on eBay. Now the problem is with me is my wife controls all the financial stuff and the money and the credit cards and everything because she's an accountant by nature. So I let her handle all that. I handle all the domestic stuff around the house and cleaning the cars and painting and remodeling stuff and all that. But she's a huge help with the money, and she helps me even with the financial back of my business. She helped with all my taxes and organizing my jobs and my profit and loss and all that. So she's very good at that. So I'm very happy to have her, but because of that, I have to go through her if I want something on eBay. So eBay is like a last resort. That's why I'm patient enough to wait up to 2 years. And if I can't find, like this Judge Dredd game for the original Xbox, I can't find it. This Battlefront 2, I looked for 2 years. Now I kept finding it in the green box and in Platinum Hits, but it was always missing the fucking manual. So I wanted it complete. Finally, one day after waiting and waiting, I said, sweetie, would you do me a favor? Could you find me this game on eBay all complete? She goes, okay, yeah. Oh, God, it's expensive. You can pay $40. Well, here's one for $20, but it's a Platinum Hits. Do you care? I said, no, I'll take the Platinum Hits. Now, again, you have to know what you want. I'm willing to take a Platinum Hits as long as the discs are clean. If they have scratches, very few scratches and very, very light. No deep scratches, no gouges in them. I have to have the manuals. If the manual is a little bent up or dog-eared, I don't mind it. If it has a tear in it, I don't mind. If someone wrote on it, I don't even care about that. As long as the case is decent, the cover art's all there, and the disc is in really good condition, I'll buy it. That's my criteria for buying new games. So she bought me this, I think, for $20. I'm glad I have it because this is going up in price, especially with the new Battlefronts that have been out. Those games have really gone up. So eBay has been good, and even with eBay, now Amazon, I've gotten a few things from Amazon, but I don't like their packaging. Quite often the packaging is not great. I haven't had anything come too badly damaged. I had one game that had a crushed, like a PS2 game that came in a crushed case in an Amazon thin bubble wrap thing. It obviously wasn't packed very good. And so I prefer eBay. And eBay, again, I've had people that have been screwed on eBay, and it's like, dude, did you check the seller's history out? They were just looking at the game. Well, the guy at the game, it was only $4. The game's like $30. I was like, dude, check out his buying and selling history. Did he just start selling? Is this like the third thing that he sold on eBay? My wife is a fanatic. We have only been screwed once, and I've thousands, literally thousands of transactions. My wife buys a ton of shit on eBay. I have sold most of my paintings and stuff on eBay, and I've bought a lot of strategy guides and things on eBay too. And we've only one time we get screwed. We've had very good luck because we check the seller's history. We see they've got like a 99% or 100% rating. It means they've done thousands of transactions and they've only had one complaint. That's not bad. The odds are pretty good. Quite often you can research them. Oh, then you'll see the reviews of people that have bought stuff from them. Oh, their shipping is always excellent, came very fast, wonderful shipping. And so I read all those reviews. We take the time. So yeah, you might find a game that I could have got it for $14, but from a seller that's questionable, or I can buy it for $20 from someone where it's going to come nicely packaged, the guy's responsible, he's not going to screw you on it, and that's why we never get screwed. My wife bought a clothing item of all things and went round and round for months fighting with this woman over this item. It was ridiculous because she took a chance on something that she had to have, and she paid the price for it. So since then, we both have learned, take the time, research your seller, and guess what? You won't get screwed. Amazon, again, I'm not real thrilled with them, but that's like a last resort. I'll buy like strategy guides. I don't care about those. If they come a little bent up or worn, I don't even care. As long as they're all complete, that's fine. So I reserve for like books and stuff like that I'll get on Amazon, but I'm not real keen on Amazon. But eBay is great. I have a huge list of games that I'm going to try to get by the end of the year on eBay. I may go through and say, look, here's $600. Let's just buy all these games and be done with it. So I'm putting together a master list now for that. Clean and complete. I told you that's how I like them. Now, Metal Jesus, I watched, he had a really good thing on game collecting. He said, oh, I don't care. I'll buy them, you know, without the case, with the manual, without. And then later I'll try to hunt down the manual or maybe. Well, I did that once. I bought Jaeger for the original Xbox, and I found it in the box, but it was missing the manual because I never came across the game. I'm like, oh, wow, Jaeger. So I jumped on it. I was so happy to have it. But then I missed the manual, and I didn't know how to play the game. I can go online and probably figure it out, but I really like having the manuals for the PS1 and up games. I don't mind it for the Super NES because back then everyone threw the packaging out and just pretty much kept the cartridge and put them in little cassette drawers or whatever, storage units. So I don't mind those as much, and even those, there's a few of them I would like complete. Like I have Outlander with the original box, but it's missing manual. That I would like to find a couple of my maybe 3 or 4 of my favorite Super NES games, like Super Star Wars, and just to have them in the original case with the manual. So have it on display on my shelf would be kind of nice. Just a couple. So these are very realistic goals. But I have friends that they want all of them. They want all the Super NES or all of the N64 games. And if that's your thing, if you've got the dough and have the room for it, knock yourself out. I don't. It's a tiny little room. I got to make the most of it. Be flexible with the prices. I see some guys, oh, I won't buy anything if it's over $3, $4 tops. You know, you're getting screwed paying $20 for that. Well, again, some people have more time than money. I work full time. I have very little time to myself, so my time is valuable. I'm tired. I can't go out and beat my head against the wall going to thrift store after Goodwill store, yard sale after yard sale in the hopes of saving a couple dollars. I mean, my time is valuable. My gas for my Hemi truck is expensive for me to drive around and look for stuff like that. So for me, I'd rather just spend a little more and get the game nice and all complete with the manual and get the perfect disc that's flawless. To me, that's where it's at. And then I have it. So the Jaeger game I took a chance on. I did find it. I ended up finding it, and that's a great thing. Like I said, doing the research on YouTube is a big help. I just saw this game right here and thought I'd pull it out. I saw Mark Bussler did a whole series of reviews on this entire series of Tokyo Extreme Racer 0, Tokyo Extreme Racer 3. I think 2 was on the Dreamcast, which I've never played. And then they have a Tokyo Extreme Drift series, which I'm not really big on the drift, but I would like to get the Extreme Racer 3. And then this series continued on the Xbox 360 with Import Tuner Challenge or something, which I really would like to find. Those games are getting up there in price. So I got a great deal on this recently. This is starting to get expensive, as is the third one. So, but if I had never gone through and done the research, because sometimes I'll look for like Midnight Club 3, and then they'll have like recommended other racing game, YouTube shows recommended. Oh, here's a series of Mark Bussler. Oh, look, one I've never seen of Mark Bussler doing a racing game. What's it called? Tokyo Racer 0. Never heard of it. So, even though it's a popular Dreamcast game, but I watched his review of this. I said, I got to get this. I went down to my favorite game store, and lo and behold, they had it. They had the third one, but they sold it. They just sold it, so they'll probably get another one in. But now I have a new series to go. If I hadn't done the research on it, I wouldn't have known anything about it. So to me, the research is almost as fun as the hunt itself. That's like the foundation of it. And then putting a little asterisk by it on my list when I know it's something I really want is a good feeling. Being flexible with prices, again, what you're willing to pay for it. I don't mind paying a little bit more to have something. I did find that Jaeger game with the manual like 6 or 7 months later. I spent a little more for it, but that's okay. And in fact, I traded the old one in. They gave me like $4 for it, so it's better than nothing. Trading and selling. Some friends of mine trade games in their network groups on Facebook. Hey, dude, I got these games. I'll tell you what, I'll trade you for them. And I haven't had very good luck with that. Now I did trade I had Xbox version of that Orta game, that old, Sega game with the flying dragon things. My friend Chance wanted that game. So I can't find that game anywhere. I'd love to have that game. I said, dude, I have that Orta game, that dragon game. I never played. I got it because my guy at the retro store said, "Oh, dude, here's a perfect copy of Panzer Dragoon Orta. How would you like this for your collection?" I knew that it was popular. He gave me a really good deal for like $4, $5 for it, all complete, excellent condition. So I went ahead and bought it. When I got home, I researched it and said, "Oh, this is a very popular game. I'm glad I got this." So it made me feel good that at least my friend Chance, who really appreciates that game, he got it. Because of that, he gave me several games that I was looking for, which he didn't really care that much about. So it worked out great. It's a good deal. So I haven't done too much more of that other than that one game that I traded. But trading games is another excellent way to do it. I probably should consider doing more of that. Buying lots. This is something I haven't done. I see friends of mine that, some guys selling, again, they're buying an Xbox PS2 with 6 games with it or 106 games with it. But again, you don't know the condition of those games. I hate getting games with scratches. I like to test my games too. It's another thing that I do is when I get a game home that I buy, I quickly test it on the PS2 or Xbox. Just make sure it works. Just play the beginning of it, just a little bit of the first level. Okay, it's fine. Xbox 360 games, the way to test those, you put them in, install them. It takes no more than 10 minutes. If the entire game installs, it's a good disc and the game will play. Sometimes it'll almost install. You get 7-8 minutes into it, and it says error, it won't install, the disk needs to be clean, or there's an imperfection on it. Sometimes I'll look at it, oh shit, I didn't see that, there's a scratch on it. The scratch especially goes the way of the little round grooves. That's all it takes. So I try to, at least with the 360 games, I always install them. Sometimes I'll uninstall them right afterwards because I don't care. I just want to, that's my way of testing to see if they're good. I've had one game that didn't work. It was Forza 3, actually. I took it back. He had a brand new Forza 2 factory sealed that I got instead, and I actually preferred that over 3, so it worked out good. But test the games, too. You want to test them. Buying the lots, I would consider it, but usually I'll look at those lots, and there might be even 170 games or so, but there's like maybe 3 or 4 I'm really looking for. Most of them I already have, or they're duplicates or whatever. And it's like, well, it's a lot of games. I mean, yeah, I could trade some of those in and get a few cents on the dollar for them, but I don't want to screw with it. So for me, I wait and I only buy individual games that I know that I want, that I know are complete and clean, and I take baby steps towards my collection. But sometimes to save money, buying in lots can be a good thing, especially if you're doing a lot of networking, so I see why people do it. And then displaying them too. You got to decide, like displaying them. I have a limited room, so right now I got about 150 original Xbox games. Now I did want all of the Star Wars games for the original Xbox. I have all of them. I have all the Star Wars games that weren't for the Xbox that are exclusive to the PS2. I have all those. I have all the James Bond games for the original Xbox. I have all the SOCOM games for the PlayStation 2. I have all the Grand Theft Auto games. Now that's rare. I have all the GTA games because I still have my old memory cards which have all my saves for those. So I kept the Rockstar games I have kind of duplicates of. I have those on the PS2 and on the Xbox, but the save space, like I got rid of my Freedom Fighters, for the PS2 and just kept my original Xbox version. I got rid of my 007 from Russia with Love. I got rid of the PS2 version. Kept that. Now I did keep Roadkill because I bought that with a special pre-order license plate. I do have some of those I've kept. And the same thing with the PS3. Like I have Medal of Honor 2010 for the PlayStation 3. I also have it for the Xbox 360. But the PS3 version also comes with a digitally remastered version of Medal of Honor Frontline, which I downloaded in PlayStation 3. So because of that, I have 2 versions. So I try to streamline. That's how I do it to kind of keep my space down to a minimum. I have a few duplicates, but not many. Some games, like a friend of mine just got that Coast to Coast Outrun Coast to Coast 2006 game. He bought the PS2 version because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than the original Xbox version. So I may have to consider that as well. I mean, it's $100, you know, to get that Xbox version of that game. I love Outrun. I love Outrun 2, especially on the original Xbox, but I'll be damned if I'm going to spend $100 for it. So that I got to weigh out. I may, to save money, I could get it for the PlayStation 2 for maybe $20, $30, and then with the $70 I save, I can buy a shitload of games. So I got to weigh that out. I changed my mind recently on the Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. It's like $115 at my local fair game store. It's a lot of money. And I think, oh, it's outrageous, ripping you off. Well, some of my friends already bought that game years ago and they only paid $30 for it. And now you can't touch that game for really much under $100. And I thought about it, and so what I did is I researched it. I watched a bunch of gameplay videos, and I said, could I see myself playing it? I love Jurassic Park. I have all the movies. I have 3D versions of the movies. I've seen them at the theater so many times. I love the series. I would like to find the Telltale Games one for the 360, but that particular one, it's kind of like a Zoo Tycoon type game. I mean, I'm not really into that style of gaming or gameplay, that genre. So I made a corporate decision. I said, I'm going to pass on that. That's a lot of money, $115. I can buy a lot of games for that. So I hated to cut that out. Those Stubbs a Zombie, I've never played, but I do like the game and the music in it. And I love the box art. So that one I'm looking for, and I may have to pay the big bucks for it. You know, we'll see. I could have bought that for $20 complete back in, I think, 2010. I remember seeing it at a game store, and I kick myself now for not buying it. But you can't second guess your choices. I did what I did for the reasons that I did them back then, and beating yourself up of what you could have done or should have done doesn't do any good. So I like the pattern. Like, here's another example. I try to buy most of my racing games for the Xbox 360, but after I've looked and looked and looked and I can't find them, sometimes they're just as good on the PS3, especially the newer ones, the newer games, the old ones that said PlayStation 3 down the side. The early ones, some of those they hadn't quite mastered developing for the cell architecture of the PS3. But like, this is a great game, and it'll play just as good on the PS3. Now, games like Need for Speed Undercover, some of those games play horrible on the PlayStation 3, and you definitely want the better Xbox 360 ports. But games like LA Noire actually play quite well on both systems, so you have to kind of pick and choose. What I do like about the PlayStation 3 is that they have these trilogies. Like, they got the God of War trilogy. I just got this recently, the Tomb Raider trilogy. Now, I could buy these, and I do have Underworld for the Xbox 360. This is a hell of a deal. I paid, $16 or $20 for this. I paid $20 for this Mass Effect trilogy, all complete with all of them. I had someone say in my comments, "Oh, dude, get rid of that. Get the better, superior Xbox 360 version." Well, I went online and looked and researched it. The PS3 versions look pretty good. They look real close to the Xbox 360 version. So, I said I'll get the PS3 versions. So being flexible in your approach to collecting, I think, is important. Bully I finally found. Now, I would like to get the PS4 version of this downloaded as well, but I wanted the Scholarship Edition. I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere for this, so I finally told my Dimple store, I said, put it on your locator. If it ever comes in, give me a call. Well, I got a call about 4 or 5 months ago. "Hey, Dean, we got your Bully Scholarship Edition, and is it complete and clean?" "Yep, I'll be right down." Picked it up. Got the game for like $8 or $9. Dirt cheap. Star Trek Legacy, another one I had completely forgotten about. There's one that wasn't even on my list, but I went down and I was just doing a cursory through the A to Z of the Xbox 360. Star Trek Legacy. Oh man, I forgot all about that game. So even though it wasn't on my list, I went ahead and bought it. I'm so happy to be reunited with this, my favorite Star Trek game on console. I love it. Juice 2. This game is getting $40, $50 and up now. I would say, I'm just going to segue into another issue here, but some of these games for last gen, 7th gen, are pretty cheap. A lot of these PS3 games in particular, very cheap. But I'm seeing the Xbox 360 prices are going. Battleship Pacific is another example of a game that is getting expensive, getting hard to find. Juice 2, some of these games, I got Apache Helicopters, like $50 now. I mean, some of these games are getting expensive. Some of them are a little cheaper than they were brand new, but you're going to get them used for, $40, $50, $60. They're going up there. So some games you can find all day long, like Gears of War, and lots of these games. Even Two Human, which I've heard is hard to find. There'll be 6, 7 copies at my local game stores. Very easy to find. So some of those games, because I know they have so many copies, I'm not real quick to I got to have it and buy it right away. Just knowing that it's there, it's like, well, I'll get it later. I know I can always find a copy of that. So you got to kind of weigh out what's a priority. I have shifted. I was going to get the PlayStation VR this year to go with my PS4 Pro because I'm dying to try this virtual reality with games like Abduction and other games. But I think I'm going to hold off just a little bit longer, at least till next year. The same thing with the Xbox One X. I was going to initially get the Scorpio version at launch. I was really excited about it, just so I can play Forza, if nothing else. Because I do have a 4K HDR TV. So, I love my PS4 Pro. This would be the Xbox equivalent. This would be nice to have. But I'm like, man, it's $500, and then to get a couple Forza games, another $120 or so. So, and I'm talking $600-700 for a couple games and the console. That's a lot of money. I could make a big dent in my retro collection. So the Xbox One X, if anything, will go down in value, even for a brand new one, another year or so from now. But I see the retro prices, even the Xbox 360 prices, going up. So my advice, with my years of experience, I've seen this with cars. I've heard a lot of gamers, there's going to be another bubble. Believe me, dude, the prices will drop back down again. They will never go down. They may level off, but I do not see retro gaming prices going down. I think that's really foolish thinking. I've seen comic books. I have coffee table art books. I have rare comic books, even old Batman comics from the 60s. I have some rare shit that I've hung on to over the years. And I have a 1939, Nazi flag that someone gave me. His father took down in World War II over in Germany. I mean, it's probably worth a small fortune. It's already gone up $300 in price since I've got it. I'm hanging on to these things. These are things I wish I'd thought ahead with the gaming. Cars. I've had so many great cars that were so... And I thought they were expensive back in the late 80s and early 90s when I bought them. They were like 10 times that now. You can forget about getting another 69 Charger. The cars that I paid $850 for one 69 Charger, super clean too, with a 383. I paid $2,200 for a rare RT SE 440 Charger with very low miles on it. It had been sitting in storage like a barn find for 21 years. $2,200. A car is worth like $70,000 to $100,000 today. They will only go up in value. In another 10 years from now, those cars could be double that. I won't even look at those cars now. I won't do it. It's the same thing with certain video games for the Super NES. Some of those are real popular ones that are $120, $350 per game. I won't spend it. I'll find a way to emulate it on a Raspberry Pi or through CoinOps or something first on my original Xbox before I'll spend the big bucks, because I don't place that value on it. It's sad. I see a lot of retro gamers, like John Hancock and Metal G. Some of these guys have been collecting for many, many years. They were smart. They collected, and that's the best advice that you'll congruently hear through a lot of these older gamers and collectors, is that get the games that are cheap to get now. Now is a time to collect Wii games, PS3 games, Xbox 360 games. I'm already seeing these original Xbox games are going up and up and up in price. They're getting expensive. They're $20, $30 and up for many of them now. Yeah, I find many for $3 and $4 and $5, but not as much as I used to. They're going up. Same thing with the retro consoles. When I came across my first Xbox for only $40, it was clean. No scratches on it, and it worked. It had all the wires and the perfect controller with it. I said, I'll take it. And then over the next couple of months, I saw another one, then another one. I bought 3 of them. One of them's a late model one with a good Philips DVD drive, which the one I'm using now on the TV, and then the other 2 have the earlier 2000 models with a shittier Thompson drive in them. Ironically, the Thompson drive is not too good in them, but one of those I'm having modded, and he's swapping out the Thompson drive with a Samsung DVD drive in it, which is nice. So next to the Xbox, I still have my PlayStation 2. I've got a new fat one. I've got a little black Slim. I'd like to get a little silver backup PS2 Slim if I could. Maybe another backup PS1 Slim. A PlayStation 3, another maybe 160 gig Slim model, or maybe one of those new Super Slims with a 500 gig, just to back up those PS3 games. But I think I'm going to put a priority on that versus getting newer consoles, because I see the prices of the newer consoles going down, but the retro prices and even getting like a PlayStation 3, I can see those prices going up. So now is the time to really get in and get all these PlayStation 3 games while you can. Your 6th gen games, get all these Xbox games while you can, because they're only going to go up in price. I think it's not wise to think it's going to be a bubble and the prices are going to go back down. They never will. My experience with collecting everything, from movies, art, books, everything, is that prices only go up. Supply and demand rules the day, and that's pretty much how it works. Newer games, I've got a pretty good head start on my PS4 collection. Some of the games, like if they're from Rebellion, some of the companies that I really like, I'll buy them brand new or even pre-order them to support the companies that I like. The same thing with the Duke Nukem. I like to see new Duke Nukem games, so I bought this at launch. I bought this, Duke Nukem version of the Bulletstorm remastered at launch, because I like this concept of remastering many of these games. A lot of people don't like it. I personally do. It just keeps my older favorites going for years to come. Mad Max, I pre-ordered back like early 2013. It's just, years later, 2015, it finally came out. Wasteland 2 is another, game I followed from its early, when it first was getting developed, and I loved the first one, the C64. So those kind of games I like. The other ones I can kind of wait. Like I waited on Dying Light and bought it for like $25, really cheap. Some of the Uncharted games, stuff like those, I kind of waited for the price to drop. Some of them, I do have a few digital games. I don't like to buy digital downloads. I just bought Abduction last night from the creators of Myst. I bought it for $30, a really good deal. It's digital only. If Limited Games or one of those companies comes out and they make a physical copy, I might try to see if I can get it for that one, because that game, I know I'm going to love it. If it's anything like Myst, it looks great. I've had nothing but glowing reviews. Watched some interviews with the original developer on it as well, which looks fantastic. So I like the new stuff, and I play probably more newer games than I do retro games, but my collection focus is shifting towards retro. I want to wrap it up, because all of a sudden I don't want to go out and have to buy those last few expensive Xbox games and find out they're all $100 each. So prices are getting up there. So I'm going to hold off on some of the expensive games like the Jurassic Park, Project Genesis. I'm going to hold off on. It's $115, too much. So I'm going to try to finish up my PS1 collection. It's doable. All these games that I have are doable, and I'm still researching these, and that's the biggest advice I can give, is take the time and really think about it carefully. What's important to you? Be realistic too. Look at how long is it going to take you to amass this collection. And if it's taken me years. I thought I could wrap this collection up in a couple of years. I've been mistaken. I'm still a ways off, and just when I think I'm close, I'm maybe 10, 12 games to wrap up some of my collections. And I've got dozens of games, because there's so many that look great. And I'm learning more and more. Every time I watch reviews, I see other reviews of similar games, and it's like it just opens up worlds within worlds. It's a great way to discover wonderful new YouTube channels too. I like that guy's review, and I check out, and oh look, he's got other reviews that are pretty good too, a lot of other games. And then I watch those, and then there'll be, if you like these, here's another recommended reviewer. And it just keeps, opening up and up and up. It's fascinating. So researching is a huge part of what I love about doing it. And it helps me to really narrow down whether the game is perfect for me and for my collection goals. And that's the best thing you can do. Each person's going to have their own. A lot of you younger guys, you got the rest of your life. I mean, I'm winding down. I'm hoping to retire maybe in 5 or 6 years. And then I can have all the time in the world to play these. So my goal is to try to wrap this collection up, so I can sit and start enjoying it now. And I'll be lucky to probably play half of the games that I even have, realistically. And you have to be a realist. You got to be more pragmatic as you get older. That's what I find. And I work too hard for my money. I can't afford to throw it away, so I got to be real careful, kind of measure twice and cut once. with my game collection. I've got friends of mine that go and buy brand new Xboxes and PS4s, and then a couple weeks later or months later, oh, I'm tired of this, I'm going to get the new thing. So they get Xbox One S, they dump all the PS4 games, and they buy another PS4 when a new Uncharted game comes out, and I'll see them buy back and forth 3-4 times the same consoles and selling the games. I'm like, God, don't do it. And they do it, and then they buy it back again, and it's like, I did that once. I went through that phase one time, and I burned my hand on the stove, and I've learned my lesson. I envy those guys, John Hancock and Metal Geese. The guys have been collecting for years and planned ahead and thought accordingly, and it's smart. I wish I had had the foresight. I've done that with my movie collection. I thought back. I still have my original, VHS collection, DVD collection. And I'm glad that I hung on to those. Which reminds me, I got to get my buddy Chance. It's going to hopefully hook me up with some new VCRs. He found this great source where they got tons of brand new VCRs, good ones too, in boxes never been used. And I'm hoping to get back up one of those, soon. Maybe even a couple of them. I'm happy with my CRT TVs. I'm glad that I got those early, because another 5-6 years, you may not find too many of those, and all of a sudden, those could become expensive. You never know. I've seen a lot of weird trends with gaming. I saw games that are so expensive now, $40 to $100, that just 3-4 years ago were like plentiful, and I thought relatively cheap. And now I'm thinking otherwise. So especially even with Xbox 360 games, I'm seeing some of those going up in price, getting it up there in value. So that's why I'm doing these collection videos. Pretty soon I'm going to be doing a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 collection video in one video. I'll show all my Xbox 360 games. I'll probably have another one showing my 70-odd, PS4 games and talking about those. And then maybe even one showing all my strategy guides. So that'll be coming up soon. I think other than that, just you have to look at what you can realistically house and display. My wife isn't elated about the game room. She's happy. She thought this was going to be my art room. You need to have a room to do your art, so that's important, And so I'm going to use this for my little set too, for my Escape to Gaming and my games. Oh, okay, well that's fine. But she sees all the games. Every time she sees these CRT TVs, she wants to get rid of them. God, they take up so much space. They're ugly. You never use them, And I go, well, they're going to become valuable. I'm trying to explain to her why it's important. So because of that, she's been a real big kick in the butt to kind of keep me to be realistic with the collection. I love these games. I will return to many of these games because they mean so much to me. And I can see myself realistically returning to them and playing them for years to come and trying, newer games. I played this for maybe an hour and a half and really enjoyed it. I could see putting some serious hours into this. I just got to give it some more time. So I think that's part of why I'm doing game collecting. We each have different reasons, different systems that we like. I think once my collection is primarily about 90% there, then I might pursue the 3DO before it gets too expensive. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll get another backup Super NES. I don't know that I need to. The thing's pretty reliable. The one I have works great. I even got an S-Video cable hookup for it, which looks great on my Sony Trinitron. So I'm almost there. I've just got a few more things to get. Like I said, I'll probably get that PlayStation 3 Slim, maybe even a Super Slim with a 500 gig hard drive. We'll see. I do have two really nice brand new Xbox 360Es, one with a 500 gig hard drive, the other one's got like a 320 gig one. The 500 one has all my rare Xbox Live Arcade games, Afterburner Climax, Sega Rally, a lot of those hard to get games you can no longer get anymore. I have those all, lovingly saved in my 500 gig hard drive. So I've kind of already thought ahead and preserved my my games for the 7th gen. I just have to do a backup with the PlayStation 3 and I'm good to go. The new gen stuff, I'm sure there'll be a PlayStation 5, it'll supersede the PS4 Pro or whatever, and I'll deal with that bridge when I come to it. But my main goal is to wrap up the old stuff while I can, while it's still affordable. The new stuff will, if anything, go down in price. The old stuff has become more collectible and desirable. It's only going to go up. That's just the way life is. So it's doable. It's all a very attainable goal. And I urge you to do the same thing. Get on this. think just because it's 7th gen that, you know, and you'll see a lot of these games relatively cheap, but some of these are getting hard to find and are in demand and are going up in price. This is going up in price. This is going up in price. A lot of these are becoming very popular. And so we don't know what the future is going to be. My thing is, and I've learned this with cars too and stuff, that when things are cheap back in the 80s, cars were so cheap and plentiful. Chevelles and Chargers and Challengers and Barracudas and Mustangs, you could buy for $500, a couple thousand. You can get a really nice one for like $2,500. And those days are gone. I mean, the cost of chrome plate the front and rear bumpers might be $2,500 in those cars now. So, and I was stupid not to hang on. I've had, 89 cars. A lot of those were classics. I could retire. I could pay this house off for what some of those cars were worth. It's just, if I had known, I was always living in the now. So this is coming from an old gamer that's been around, that learned the hard way. Don't make the mistakes that I've made. Think about what's important to you. Look at what realistically you're going to be able to play and be able to afford now or over 5 years or 10 years or whatever, and jump on those things now. You won't regret it. Just trust me. So I hope you found this interesting. Pretty soon I'll be doing a collection video. I'm going to be doing my PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 video, my Xbox 360 collection, probably a PS4 collection, and then I'll have all my strategy guides I want to do in a massive collection. So that'll be coming up soon. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Put in the comments what's important to you about collecting, the things. If I've missed anything that you think would be a valid point, by all means, please put it down. I really love reading those comments and interacting with my friends and viewers. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and enjoy your games. Enjoy those collection pursuits, because there's nothing funner than the hunt of finding these wonderful gems from the past and reliving our childhood or the good times that we had all over again. To me, that's what collecting is really all about. Thank you for watching.